Hello, this is Danny Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide, and for a long time, one of the videos that I have had in the planning and development stage was one on my ideas about how prisons should be improved. So when I saw that Inside Star Citizen was going to be doing a segment on how they were going to be changing prisons, I was worried that one of two things might happen: that their ideas would be the same and my video would be pointless, or their ideas would be the opposite of mine and my video idea would be pointless. But as it turns out, it was neither. My ideas were complementary. They dovetailed quite nicely. So obviously that was my cue to go ahead and make this video. But I should start with why I find prisons so fascinating in MMO design. And that is because it is such a design tightrope. On the one hand, it has to be interesting enough to still feel like part of the game. And on the other hand, it has to be so undesirable that players will feel motivated to work hard to avoid it, that bounty hunters will feel a sense of accomplishment sending their adversaries there, and that in some cases it's so undesirable that players will want to escape rather than remain there. And as if finding the narrow space between those two weren't enough, there's a third element: verisimilitude. That may be a new word for you. It comes from the analysis of works of fiction, and it literally means similarity to the truth. Works of fiction obviously are not actually truth. That would make them nonfiction. But they do want to seem like they are truthful. In this case, does this really feel like the kind of system of justice that this society would have? And the lack of verisimilitude can be a real immersion breaker. In fact, I regard verisimilitude to be one of the 4 pillars of immersion in Star Citizen. The other 3 are realistic detail, continuous presence, and diegetic action. Now, another comment I would like to have is that while I agree with them that the prisons are currently too empty, that is a situation that in the long haul I believe will fix itself. With server meshing and larger shard player counts, the number of players in prison at any given time on a shard will of course get larger. Get the shards up to the thousands of players, there will likely to be more than one cell block at Klescher, which of course is easily done with server meshing. So first let me talk about the prison terms itself, and I think that they should tweak the sentence length somewhat to be sure that you don't reach a point of further crimes being essentially freebies. Because it seems like right now, once you reach crime stat 5, crimes have little additional time on the sentence. And that shouldn't be the case. Not only does it make bad incentive for the player behavior, but it also undermines verisimilitude. Real justice systems treat repeat offenders more strictly, 3 strikes laws and all that, and not give them a frequent killer discount. So let's start with an existing system that hasn't been applied to prison, but which should be, and that is reputation. So how does getting sent to prison affect your reputation? Well, with law-abiding guilds, it would seem to be presumed that they would be a negative impact on your reputation. But on the other hand, if you promptly complete your sentence as a model prisoner, that might erase much of that negative impact as having served your time and learned your lesson. On the other hand, for criminal guilds, it would also be seen as a negative. Good criminals don't get caught after all. But if you break out of prison, well, that changes things. So right there you have a basis for 2 different sets of prisoners to take very different approaches to prison based on who they want to gain or restore reputation with. But are there also prison gangs? That's a standard thing in prison stories, so I would suggest that there are 2 criminal prison gangs. One is a gang of corrupt prison guards, and another is an inmates gang. Both have many real-world literary examples. So, for example, they talked about having a way of trading found contraband for merits. Now, who would want to do that? Well, the leader of the inmates gang. They talked about a black point where the outside world could send in tasks to do. But much more realistic would be the corrupt guard who is part of the guards gang. The idea of corrupt guards can also better solve a number of other situations in the prison. For example, a numeric keypad on an exhaust fan. Who would build a fan like that and then put the number on a video screen visible to the prisoners? Really? You know what that's lacking? Yep, verisimilitude. But what would be better? There's a corrupt guard. Slip them a Haydenite, and a few seconds later, the fan will temporarily, mysteriously stop while they studiously look the other way. 2 Haydenite, and they might also mention the garage code, too. That there are corrupt guards in a system like Hurston is much more believable than they would, escape after escape, still follow the same insecure procedures, and still not fix that goddamn fan. My remaining ideas all center around how merits are handled in the game. First, have merits equal a minute of jail time and not a second. Nobody finds micromanaging seconds of jail time fun. Obviously, sentences and rewards would be scaled accordingly. Next, have prison sentences expressed as merits rather than time. This is mostly a psychological difference. You tell a typical gamer that their sentence is 20 minutes, and they will whine about forced downtime, even if you mention that there are ways to reduce it. Tell them instead that their penalty is 20 merits, and they'll immediately say, "Well, I'll show you how fast I can get 20, fool." And waiting the sentence out should require some sort of minimal interaction with the prison world. If you can serve the sentence just by logging out or switching to an alt character, then the whole prison system becomes irrelevant to gameplay. The whole electronic fund transfer of prison merits also lacks verisimilitude. Nothing else about the prison seems to have that levels of sophistication. I know that when it was first built, what was available to leverage was the credit system, but there are other ways to do it now. When you think of prison economies, either in real life or fiction, you tend to think of simple barter systems. Cigarettes, drugs, prepaid phone calls. It seems that they are trying to go that way with being able to exchange found items for merits, but they should take the extra step and make the merits themselves be physical items, like poker chips. You can store the chips in your room inventory, which is safe, or carry them in your backpack, which can be looted if you are incapacitated. That means that there's a danger time between when you get your merits and getting them back to your room safely. You have to be on the lookout for muggers and possibly have to defend yourself if attacked. But you might think, wouldn't that just turn the whole prison into a giant melee of mugging and looting? Well, not, because of two things. Remember how the ISC said that there would be contracts to take out troublesome inmates? Well, what would make a troublesome inmate? Frequently mugging and stealing merits would seem to be on the top of the list. And then there is something else. My idea was that you don't simply get merits for time. You get merits for time with good behavior. So you could get merits by mugging and looting, but you are losing the merits that you might have gotten from good behavior. And remember, at least for lawful players, they are trying to leave prison with as much of their reputation on the lawful orgs as possible. They'll want to have lots of good behavior on their record. So how would this good behavior system work? Remembering that I also want to have serving your sentence to have to involve at least a minimum level of interaction with the prison world. Well, every, let's say, 10 minutes, you can get a mission that tells you to go to a certain dispenser, and if your behavior has been clean for those 10 minutes, you get a 10-merit chip. Imagine them working like the Kovalex boxes with a little door. But unless you have other business, you might want to run that chip back to your room. And there will never be more than one 10-merit chip mission awaiting you at the dispenser. So you can, in real life, go and get a snack or go to the bathroom and not miss anything, because you'll come back and there'll be a 10-minute mission to get a 10-merit chip. But if you go to bed and sleep for 8 hours, you will come back and find one mission for one 10-merit good behavior chip. That 10 value can be up for discussion. So you can go AFK from the keyboard, but you just can't completely switch to a different character or log out for the day. And when there's enough merits stored in your room inventory, you can leave. There's no need to have to walk through the prison with literally hours worth of merits in your backpack. Then there is the matter of leaving prison. The current disconnected jump from an elevator to your bunk at the space station is a major immersion break. Remember how I said continuous presence was one of the pillars of immersion in Star Citizen? So, instead, the elevator takes you to a public facility just outside the security zone surrounding Klescher. The elevator opens to a small room where your prior equipment is available as inventory items in a locker. Then, after resuiting, you exit the room to the main facility, which includes hangars and an ASOP terminal. Incidentally, this facility under Bounty Hunting 2.0 will be the main place that bounty hunters will deliver their captives to. And that is how I would build upon the good ideas already included in the Inside Star Citizen video. I think that the results would find that narrow place between both engaging and undesirable, as well as having verisimilitude. Now for an update on our Grow the Channel Ship giveaway. As of recording, we are at 83% of the subscriber goal and 76% of the membership goal to give to one lucky player their choice of the Anvil Liberator, the shipping ship for shipping your ships, or the Misk Odyssey, the long-length look-ahead launcher Lori. Members, you're entered automatically, and if the winner is a member as of the publication date and at the giveaway time, they will win both the Liberator and the Odyssey. For everybody else, just be a subscriber and comment with the secret word. And the secret word is that big long word that starts with the letter V. Fly safe, keep it real, and I'll see you in the verse. This is Daniel Raymond for Ray's Guide.